You know what's funny? In Proverbs chapter 13, verse 12, it says, "Hope deferred maketh the heart sick, but when the desire cometh, it is a tree of life." So I'm going to say that one more time. Hope deferred maketh the heart sick, but when the desire cometh, it is a tree of life. And I'm going to skip down to verse 14 where it says, "The law of the wise is a fountain of life, to depart from the snares of death." That may not make much sense to you guys, but I think that the part that highlights for me is the word wise, where it says, "The law of the wise is a fountain of life, to depart from the snares of death, because hope deferred maketh the heart sick." So we got to ask, how's your heart health? Let's start there. Okay, so now that you have the tone of this video, I want to welcome you to this channel. If you've never been here, if you are new to this channel, new to this face, new to this voice, I welcome you to be a part of a channel that's going to share some backstories of some experiences that I went through recently in 2022 up until date, and how I am navigating, even as one that had to yield myself as a first time author to a grace of 10 years to come up with a book that is speaking about some real experiences, faith, fear, and some things that can utterly be embarrassing. But because the greater commission is bigger than the embarrassment, I decided to share. So I want to ask you, how is your heart health? And I'm not just talking about your natural heart, but the natural heart plays a huge part with even how you are affected emotionally, how you are affected spiritually, yeah, and then how you have a perception of life and a perception of your life experiences and people. I know there are many, many, many people who may be in a space where they have yet to discover the what's and the whys of how they process people and how they process their experiences. And in my book, I came up with just a nice block of a list that gives people a scope of options to relate to when it comes down to coping mechanisms. Because the things that I've experienced in my life, I realized one thing: no one really taught me how to grieve. No one really taught me what it meant to show up hurt. How do you show up in a hurtful situation? How do you respond to something that is scary, to something that feels unsafe? How do you respond to something that doesn't feel secure? How do you respond when it feels as if your prayer said one thing, but the result was totally different? So I just want to tap on your heart health for a second. And I believe I'm going to highlight relationships with this conversation. You don't necessarily have to take any notes with this video, but just note it in your heart somewhere, or leave space in your heart to just hear me out just for a minute. So, to be honest with you guys, I never experienced being in a grace where I had to revisit some things and dig deep into some experiences that started when I was a child. Having to go back years, I mean, a few decades, just to unlock what those moments and experiences were trying to show me in my now adult life, in order for me to be a good candidate. And I just say a good candidate because I had to yield and be vulnerable to God for this space to be healed. And I'm not saying that healing is linear. I am saying that healing is an opportunity, And when you seize the moment, it's going to be a ride of your life. So instead of me skipping spaces here, I want to say that I believe that God is entrusting certain people to have certain conversations, especially in the climate that we are in and the one that we are headed to. Okay? So I believe, as I was graced to revisit some past traumas, some past grievances, some things that I thought I dealt with in a mature way or a proper way, or I only dealt with it according to what my surroundings looked like, and I followed suit with that. I didn't realize until writing this book that no, Keisha, you actually held on to what was not conducive to freeing yourself to be a human being that experiences the tragedies, the surprises of life, the shocks of life, the disappointments in life, the neglect in life. If you read my book, you'll see a couple of here and there mentionings of how I felt neglected as a child going into puberty. And that really sculpted me as a person that has to navigate a certain way in this world where we are sharing, we're cohabitating with other people. And unbeknownst to me, you guys, I did not know that I was harboring unforgiveness. I did not know I was harboring bitterness. I didn't even know I was harboring suppressing grief with one very important person that was in my life that I lost at the age of 10, which was my father. I wanted my father to be around for a long time, but as God would have it, that was not in his will, or should I say, that was not the outcome. And God knows how to be there in your life when the outcome is not ideal, right? But in the book, I speak about some things where I'm transparent, I'm very candid in my book, just to give you a glimpse of this girl, this one right here, that did not have everything figured out, that lived in a space of fear to try to always dodge any opportunity that could make me feel unsafe. And I should have asked myself the question, why is that? Why do I feel unsafe? Why do I want to be in control of things that make me feel like I'm not going to be unsafe? So there are some things that you may want to ask yourself when it comes down to this. Just tap on this for a moment. Let's talk about mother wounds for a moment. We're not here to bash anyone with the title mother. We're not here to bash anybody with any title. But we are here to just peel the layers just a little bit, real softly, real carefully. We know that our mothers, especially in the Black community, our mothers, they strive and they really try to do their best just to put food on the table, especially if they are in a single parent home. And we know they only do what they can do. And sometimes our mothers, their plates can be full, or their mental capacity can only do so much in the light of what you feel like you're getting and not getting with your experience with your mother. And sometimes we develop a feeling of rejection from our mothers. And it could come in some of the smallest forms, especially, if you are a daughter. As a daughter in my life, I was dealing with a lot of changes in my body. Right when my father passed, that's when puberty came knocking on my door and all these changes were happening, and I still wasn't able to process the loss and the adjustments and the change in the home. And I was dealing with those things seemingly by myself. It really felt that way. And I do have two beautiful older sisters, but they were navigating through life the best way that they could. But my point is this: after so many years and now having to revisit the time that I lost my father, it was an alert that God blessed me to have, even though I did not like it. I did not like it. I was not comfortable with it, you guys. It was so like it was scary to go into a territory of my brain, of my emotions, of my soul that I've never really visited or gave a chance to. And to keep this long story a bit shorter, let's just say bitterness and some unforgiveness showed up on my path of healing. And what I had to do was I had to make a few phone calls, you guys. After I cried, after I did the best I could in my prayer time, I was like, God, I know you are in the midst of this healing, but it hurts beyond hurt. I thought I went through hurt. And you guys, I'll share some other things with you later. But I thought I went through hurt up until I realized I had a road to travel to get to the root cause of why I even suffer with panic attacks for a season that did not last long. But why did that even happen? Why was the reaction in my body a panic attack in the light of grief, of losing someone that I really, really cared about? This was down the road of losing my father. And long story short, I realized that God really wanted me to understand that I can approach people that I love, that I have a relationship with, that I have a blood relationship with, meaning family. And I can have a voice. I have the power now to not come with an approach of offense. And that took time. That took prayer. That took me, and I'm not sure if you're going to have the same road to travel, but I can tell you that if God wasn't working on the inside of me and sustaining me, I probably would have lashed out versus had a moment to process and then come with a plan of approach, then come with loving words that only God could have given me to approach individuals that I care about and to say, hey, I got to be honest with you. What you did or did not do caused me to deal with life like this. But I want to bring it up, not to put you in a corner of guilt, but I want to talk about it because God gives me the power of voice. And sometimes we lose our voices when we are not healed. I'll let that marinate just for a second. Sometimes unhealed wounds, it muzzles the power of our tongue. And I was developing the power of my tongue during this healing opportunity, this healing grace. So I want to encourage you guys that maybe there is a blueprint, such as my book or somebody else's book or a counselor or some sort, that can help you navigate through how you are even able to operate with people. Like, start there. Start with how your perception is of the world. Start with your perception of people. And you may be on an interesting journey to find out that, hey, the 3-year-old you observed something that planted a seed that now produced fear, or it produced anxiety, or it produced a perception that is untrue. It is trying to protect you. Your perception wants to protect you, but it's not doing it with purity. So I want to encourage you guys as much as I can in this video just to say there is a template in my book called Icon to Life You Can't Imagine for you to possibly find a connection there. If not my book, there are other books. The Garden Within by Anita Phillips, Dr. Anita Phillips. There are so many things now that God has allowed to break through the seams to be available for all of us, those who will be bold enough, or should I say, determined enough to not have control, but to seek God in the control of the healing for us to navigate through so that we will not create casualties. it's enough people doing it, right? But that's all I have, you guys. Thank you for your attention and your time. I did not mean for this video to go as long, but there are so many things to unpack. I just wanted to highlight relationships. And just to be clear, relationships are not contractual just because they come through the vein of family. And what I mean by that is there are some individuals in your family that you're going to have to forgive, but you're going to also have to keep them at a distance, a healthy distance, okay? Just make sure love is what you exemplify. But you don't know love if you're trying to know love out of the world's system. You got to know love from the source. And to me, that is God through Jesus Christ. Thank you guys for your time and your attention. Don't forget to subscribe. And if this encouraged you somehow, leave a comment.